Yes, yes, yes. Every day we're getting some big news, a little bit more big news. This one here is from coinpedia.org and it's titled Ripple News. France's central bank eyes XRP for digital euro. Of course, there's no guarantees of anything, but if this is legit, this is obviously big news. Let's read this little tidbit and find out what's going on. It says France, the world's sixth largest economy. Well, first of all, let's be clear. France is having a lot of problems right now, especially with Niger cutting them off from certain commodities and such like that. But let's keep going. It says it's said to be venturing into new financial territory, with Ripple's XRP leading the way. Reports indicate that Banque de France, the country's central bank, sees XRP technology as a key part of its digital euro plans. Well, even without any document, even without them saying any of this, I think most of us saw that some of those bank coins like XRP, Algorand, who are deep in Europe, they've been on the Digital Euro Association, they've been on a Digital Pound Foundation, that they're going to play some sort of part in gluing everything together, not necessarily being the base technology for the CBDC, which is also definitely possible for other, I think, other countries, and no guarantee, but I think it's definitely possible. But gluing everything together, yes, they're going to have a way to interact with a variety of systems and currencies, as a lot of these currencies, although they will go by the same name as the local currency, they will be something completely new, right? But with XRP, you don't have that problem, right? So as a bridge currency. Well, let's keep going. It says this journey began in 2021 with successful trials of the central bank digital currency within the Secure Target 2 securities framework and initiative by the European Central Bank. This first step sparked interest in XRP's technology for France's financial infrastructure. Ido Farina's revelation. It says Ido Farina, a well-known figure in the XRP community, recently revealed this surprising development. Okay, creating a buzz about this innovative leap. The central bank's interest in XRP has been simmering for quite some time. With an earlier document, all right, shedding light on their stance. This is huge then. This document explores real-time settlement using decentralized ledger technology and designates XRP as a critical, quote, virtual currency. We've heard that before, haven't we? We've seen some documents from other more prominent central banks about XRP. I can't remember which ones, but a lot of you have those documents. They were maybe from either the IMF or maybe the BIS, where they referenced XRP and also Stellar. If you remember that one, there was a document that referenced both. So that's interesting as well. It says here, its role is pivotal in connecting different currency pairs, simplifying global transactions, and improving payment processes. So this is huge. I'm very happy about this. I'm very excited about this. Listen, whenever they're ready to pull the trigger and set things off, I'm all for it. 100%. I'm hoping things go even faster. And that's why I think videos like the one I made yesterday are very important. We have to go over the breaking down of the system. I mean, look, I'm interested in the timeline. I am. Of course, there's no guarantees. Nobody has a crystal ball, but we can observe, right? So going over these different ways that the world is breaking down, the financial systems are breaking down. Really, it's all the systems are breaking down. And observing that can give us a more of a clear idea of how fast these things can be deployed. And you see how fast they're moving, right? All right. So now, I mean, all across the globe, they're moving at a lightning pace with these CBDC systems, and they couldn't move fast enough for me. So now let's go to this here, right? This article here is from news.bitcoin.com. I just want to show you the deceptiveness, right? They know what's coming. This article is titled Fed Governor Questions Need for U.S. Central Bank Digital Currency. Now, this could have multiple implications. Let's just read a little bit here. It says, Fed governor remains unconvinced on U.S. CBDC, cites existing. Now, that's interesting. It cites existing innovations and risk. Now, keep in mind, because I'm pretty sure at some point they're going to reference FedNow. But here's the problem. FedNow is not a digital system. But also keep in the back of my mind that they have all these blockchains and DLT systems, set up where they can interlink or interoperate with FedNow. So they may not need to They may not need to issue a CBDC or their own digital system if they're going to rely on them. But if they're going to rely on those systems, then things are much bigger than people are anticipating. Think about that for a minute. If they rely on, I'm not going to say some other blockchains, but there's some that are already working with the federal government. Some of you know who it is. And I don't think they've been spoken on in a long time. But let's say you have a good amount of Ripple businesses, like businesses who are built on Ripple technology, XRPL technology. If they're heavily relied on, then things could be much bigger than what we're anticipating if the federal government of the United States is going to be utilizing them to any capacity, right? I mean, we have to consider the possibility. I mean, look, this possibility, maybe not, but they're there and they're waiting. So I look at it in that way as well. That's definitely a huge possibility. But another thing is, I don't see why the United States government, who likes to dominate everything, would not have their own digital system. Do you see how fast that Europe is moving with the digital euro? Well, the United States is much more of a control freak than Europe, and Europe has their ways. But what United States does differently is they keep quiet on whatever they're working on for the longest time. It could be a new fighter jet. They'll keep quiet on it as though, oh, nothing's going on. Why would we need to work on a fighter jet? Next thing you know, new fighter jet is out. That's how they do. They keep it quiet, and they do a good job of that as well. Misdirection. They're also very good at misdirection. So let's read this little tidbit. Just a little bit here. Shout out to Keith. Shout out to Corey. Shout out to Bo Rabbit. I love Life 22. Shout out to Blockchain 663. Lazar Current. Appreciate every single one of you guys. And I appreciate every single person. I'm just everybody I can remember. It says, in a discourse at Harvard Law School, Fed Governor Michelle Bowman articulated that the case for a U.S. central bank digital currency, or CBDC, remains unconvincing, failing to distinctly showcase how it could address the identified issues more adeptly or efficiently than existing alternatives. Proponents argue that CBDCs could address frictions in the payment system. Yeah, it improves everything. See, that's very deceptive. We know it improves everything, even something that's not discussed a lot, like a lot of that money that goes missing when it comes to, like, when the Pentagon was audited, and they're like, well, where are these trillions going, billions going, just disappear? No. So traceability is something also that it brings to the equation. There's so many possibilities with this technology. This is how you know that they're fronting, they're faking it. This is not real. This is proponents argue that CBDCs could address friction. Let's skip that part. She cited the FedNow. I knew they were going to talk about FedNow. She cited the FedNow instant payment system as an example of existing infrastructure improvements. Bowman also warned that CBDCs could pose, quote, significant risk and trade-off. Everything is like that. Right now, your system is terrible. I got an article that's going to prove that later. It says, quote, I have yet to see a compelling argument that U.S. CBDC could solve any of these problems more efficiently than alternatives. And yet all the other major economies are working on CBDCs. So they're all wrong. The United States is right. Come on now, stop. Not only that, but we all know the United States has been working with the top bank coin blockchains for a long time, absorbing information. Why? Listen, I believe they're working on something big. I really do. They're just keeping it super quiet. But I just wanted to put that on your table. Now let's move on here, because this shows the vulnerabilities of the legacy system to the max. Now, this article here is from bmmagazine.co.uk. and it's titled, A Major Hack of a Financial Services Payment System Could Cost the World $3.5 trillion. Lloyd's has found as demand for cyber insurance booms. A, quote, hypothetical but plausible cyber redacted, unquote, would cause quote, widespread disruption to global business, unquote, according to a scenario modeled by Lloyd's together with Cambridge Center of Risk Studies. The U.S. would take the biggest hit within the scenario by losing $1.1 trillion over 5 years, followed by China and Japan with $470 billion and $200 billion, respectively. This is insane. Like, at this particular time to come out with this information, that's a little bit interesting, isn't it? It says, the quote, the global interconnectedness of cyber means it's too substantial a risk for one sector to face alone. So then see, now you understand another key reason why they want to implement the new financial system. Because remember, if one part is attacked, if one part goes down, then the rest of it keeps on functioning like nothing ever happened. Also, with a lot of the fail safes that you can put in, like there's so many innovations that haven't been used yet, but with a lot of the fail safes that could be put in, you could stop something immediately. You can have artificial intelligence to shut something down as soon as it detects something suspicious, shut it down until an authorized figure says, hey, this transaction can go through. So all this means is that the legacy system is terrible and the new financial system is better. And this is another reason why they're rushing towards deploying the new financial system. So now let's move on here. I'm trying to get these articles in for you today a little bit more quickly. I like to take my time more. This is I can get out more information. This article here is from coinedition.com, and it is titled John Deaton Optimistic That XRP Will Break Ties with Ripple Soon. All right. I mean, I suppose some people desire that. I don't see a problem with the way that everything is going right now. I think everyone who's building on XRPL is significant and doing a great job pushing XRPL forward, which means more use for XRP use cases. But let's read this and let me find out what's going on here. It says John E. Deaton, a pro cryptocurrency lawyer, shared in an X post yesterday that he looks forward to the day when XRP is able to establish an identity of itself apart from Ripple. This was a response to a video created by Coin Bureau, wherein Guy revealed that, quote, Ripple's XRP, unquote, is a newly added payment method within Roblox. See, but you can't go by what some of these people say. They phrase things in a very specific way. They have their own opinions. There's a lot of people, I don't know about this individual, a lot of people don't like XRP. So although they're going to talk about it because it might get views, I'm not going to say it's always going to get views because sometimes it doesn't, but it might get views and it's going to strike a lot of attention. It definitely does that. So they're going to talk about it even though they don't respect it. They don't enjoy it. They don't like it, and they may not even hold it. So they're going to phrase things a certain way. So I don't think you can really take too much umbrage with it. It's like to each his own. To each his own. But that doesn't mean that all of a sudden you just cut your nose off because somebody told you that there's a bad smell in the room. You get what I'm saying? Ripple has look how many banks they brought to the table. Without them, how would there be so many banks? How would the use cases for XRP be as unique as they are? Would XRP be positioned the way that it is without what they have done? Volante has done. I mean, a lot of the builders on XRPL really have brought a lot to the table. They've all brought a good amount of business to the table. You need those kind of builders. Why would you not want one of the best expanders and builders of all time to be associated with your blockchain? I just have to humbly disagree on that. I think everything's okay. This is Deaton did, however, mention that Ripple does currently hold a large amount of XRP tokens, but they're using it for a very specific reason. They're holding them for a very specific reason, are they not? On-demand liquidity. Once again, that patent for on-demand liquidity. I mean, they brought a lot to the table that makes XRP exponentially more special than what it would be, right? You have a lot of other coins that do similar that are just floating in oblivion. Why would you want the possibility of that, right? And I would not want to rely on retail, right? Because without some companies building on it that bring business to the table to be able to use the chain, really, there's no incentive for businesses to just pick up crypto and just start using it, or else they could do that with 1,000 different crypto, right? So once again, I just have to humbly disagree. To each his own. I don't think it's going to change, but it says, therefore, he does not blame Guy for referring to the altcoin as, quote, Ripple's XRP. Yeah, but I mean, personally, why would I care what someone calls it? Listen, I'm here to make capital off XRP. I'm not here to love XRP, marry it, cuddle up with it. No. And whatever someone else thinks, that's what they think. That doesn't move me left or right. And we can't control others if that moves others left or right. Once again, if XRP really was not made for retail, then it's not something that I can't say that I'm going to be concerned with. Retail and what they think. And once again, see, this is another instance where someone is concerned about, I'm going I'm just leaping out the window. I could be completely wrong, but the influence that one of these giant influencers has could sway the minds of people, because a lot of these giant influencers have control over people's minds. Hence influencer, right? So if they say something, it could put a negative connotation into people's minds. But with it not being a bank coin, a retail coin, if we're going to run with that narrative, right? That's what's been said for years. That's what I heard when I first got into it. But if that's the case, then that's not something that I would worry about at all. It says recently Roblox. Well, we know about Roblox because we cover that article here. Let's move on. Listen, man, much love to John Deaton, has his own opinion. Appreciate him. He's a warrior, done a great job. Now we're moving on. Simple as that. Everyone can think what they want. As far as I'm concerned, I'm just hoping XRP takes off for any reason, takes off, and we can all make a whole lot of capital. Not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. That's just my hope. That's just my personal thought, and we all make a lot of capital, and then that's it, All right. So now this article here is from CoinDesk.com, and it's titled, "The Crypto Winter May Be Over." I would love it to be. I would love it to be. I think, once again, we have a few more, black swan events, a few more negative catalysts to go through before we get there, especially with the bonds and stuff. We still have to see how this Treasury market is going to react, because there was a big sell-off recently that they upped the yield on Treasuries again. We have to see if people are going to start buying them. Right now, they're not buying them. Right now, they're not. So that capital is playing. If you look at the markets, they're playing right now with that capital. But if they choose to go buy back in, then there could be another liquidity drain. So that's something I'm watching. All right. But let's read this little bit here. It says the crypto winter may be over. Morgan Stanley Wealth Management said in a post on his website examining whether the recent bear market in digital assets has run its course. I would love it if that's true. Quote, based on current data, signs indicate that crypto winter may be in the past and that crypto spring is likely on the horizon, unquote. Now, the way that's phrased, I agree with that. It says, quote, unquote, the Tuesday Post said. The investment manager notes that the trough of Bitcoin in previous crypto winters has occurred 12 to 14 months after peak. The cryptocurrency reached an all-time high of $68,000. It was a wonderful time when it did in November 2021 and bottomed out a year later. It was a wonderful time when it did. Everything was up, everything. And this is why I'm 100% for a Bitcoin bull run, and it will pull everything else up with it. And people like to take money out of those gains that they made there and put them into other assets because they know they're going to make gains in other assets as well. And then that pumps a lot of other things up. And it makes for just a wonderful, fun time. So it's, quote, a 50% increase in the price of from Bitcoin's low is typically a good sign that the trough has been achieved, unquote. Strategist Denny Galindo wrote, the world's largest cryptocurrency has risen 70% year to date and 77% from last year's lows. The magnitude of the Bitcoin drawdown is also important, the wealth manager said, noting that the previous price troughs were about 83% off their respective highs. All right, let's move on here. I was just talking about U.S. Treasuries. So let's cover a little bit of that, right? This is from marketwatch.com, and it is titled U.S. Treasury Bond Rout Deepens as popular fixed income ETFs touch decade plus lows. But this is always a manipulative tactic to force them to up that yield, right? So the iShares 20-plus year Treasury bond ETF continued to decline on Wednesday, dropping to another round of 16-year lows as U.S. Treasury saw renewed selling. The iShares 20-plus year Treasury bond ETF TLT, the market's largest bond fund and bellwether for other bond ETFs, was falling near 1% on Wednesday, on track to settle at the lowest level since July 9th, 2007, according to Dow Jones market data. The iShares Core U.S. Aggregate Bond ETF AGG, which tracks the closely followed U.S. Bloomberg Aggregate Bond Index, the main gauge of performance for investment-grade bonds, was dropping 0.3%, on pace for its lowest close since October 13th, 2008. The iShares 7 to 10-year Treasury bond ETF IEF, the iShares 10 to 20-year Treasury bond ETF TLH were touching levels not seen since April 2010 and January 2007, respectively, according to Dow Jones market data. It says, however, the long-term bond sell-off resumed yesterday after a stronger than expected September retail sales report, which showed the unexpected resilience in the U.S. economy. What it showed them is that people have money to take, right? That's what they believe. They believe people have money to take, so they got out there to play and pump some stuff up, and maybe people put their money in. They'll get their money taken, right? That's what's happening. They're on the hunt, folks, so be careful, right? This is unexpected resilience in the U.S. economy reawakened fears of, quote, higher for longer, quote, interest rates. Yeah, I think that's going to be a reality. I don't see any way around that. Let's move on here. So just very, very quickly, the layoffs continues, the firings continue, the bankruptcies continue. This is from eFinancialCareers.sg. Bank of America cut 7,500 jobs and no one noticed. Remember, I was saying in one of the prior videos that they're doing all of these layoffs and there are a lot of people getting fired, but the media is not reporting on it. And now you have eFinancial Careers, reputable site, telling you no one noticed. Why didn't they notice? Because it's not being reported everywhere. It says here, when the banking job cuts of 2023 are reflected upon by generations to come, the cuts at Bank of America are unlikely to be remembered. It's Credit Suisse, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, and Citi that have made the most noise about trimming heads in 2023. But it's Bank of America that has quietly cut the most. Wow. In the first half of 2023, Credit Suisse cut just over 4,000 people. Wait a minute. Before we go any further now, keep in mind that the banks, this is how you know the banks are in trouble. So the banks have been closing branches and laying massive amounts of people off. Why? That's in correlation with, or in conjunction rather with, new capital restraints that the government is placing on them and other regulations. They're getting really rough with them right now, with the banks, because I believe that they want the banks to collapse. I do. Why do you think they took the measures that they did with interest rates, knowing interest rates were going to hurt them, knowing the banks were sitting on huge, massive amounts of unrealized losses, in addition to the guillotine of the commercial real estate problem, right? And they knew that that was going to exacerbate that problem, but they did it anyway. And were very cold-hearted in their comments towards the bank. So there's a lot of division there. They're not all on board together, So, but I just wanted to put that out there as they're talking about this. It says between January and the end of September 2023, Goldman Sachs cut 3,200 people. Citi cut 2,000. Morgan Stanley said it was cutting 3,000 people. Yeah, I've been hearing about not just banks, but all types of businesses laying people off. And I've seen a few articles and a few videos, but you're supposed to get notified before you get laid off, right? I think something like that. I did hear about a couple of companies not doing that, but it wouldn't surprise me. But if this is really happening to the degree that people are saying out there, that they're indicating with the data, then I would hope maybe people talk about it a little bit more. I think right now there's so much struggle going on for people that they're just like, all right, I got laid off. I'm just going to get right back to finding another job, which makes sense to me. You got bills to pay, you got things to do. Rather than get on the internet and write an article or make a video. But I'm telling you now, it's going to behoove people and be very good for them to share information, let people know what's going on so they can understand the truth about what's going on economically. Because if they're waiting on the mainstream media, I'm going to tell you right now, I haven't seen mainstream media covering what's really going on with the economy, but I've seen regular people do it. So it's up to the regular people to spread that good information to each other. Let's close out right here with a little bit of gold news. I think we're making good time today. I put a lot of information in the members only section. I hope people are partaking in that. I will be putting out another members only video of my own. There's other videos there, but from other sources, right? I will be putting out another one because there's some interesting things going on, right? So hopefully I will see you over there. Now, this is from kitco.com. It says OTC demand pushing gold to Asia could be why prices can withstand 5% bond yields. WGC's Reed and Cavattoni. Well, they had a sell-off, going on as well. And then also there was bank runs and people are, pulling their capital out of banks going into gold. Then also the geopolitical battles happening. People had to protect their value in those situations as well. It says, so I take that into account. The gold market is holding solid ground near its highest level in 7 weeks even as 10-year U.S. bond yields push closer to 5%. Gold's resilience comes as the market continues to see lackluster investment demands with solid outflows in gold-backed exchange-traded products. In the past week, as prices have rallied nearly 8% from its recent 7-month lows, the world's largest ETF, SPDR Gold Shares, has seen outflows of more than 17 tons. Yeah, but there's a balance to that because the central banks have been buying massive amounts of gold up to date, right? It says, despite these outflows, the gold market remains healthy and robust as growing Asian demand helps to counterbalance the weakness in Western markets, according to two market strategists at the World Gold Council. The future of gold looks extremely bright, especially with all the stuff that's going on in the world right now. So, I'm not concerned whatsoever. And I think in yesterday's video, if you are watching this today and you didn't watch yesterday's video, there is a good chapter. I'm telling you. Go to that last chapter. You don't have to watch the whole video. Go to the last chapter. It's titled Gold News or something like that, or Shocking Gold News or something like that. And just scroll to those last few minutes. Listen to the numbers they're talking about. It was beautiful for gold. Beautiful. And I hope that it comes true. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, folks, let's get to the money.